To share a possible polish comparison video to the Orly Summer 2025 collection. So I'm going to start off with Mall Rat here. Now I did want to say very quickly that I had a very hard time trying to find polish comparisons to a few of these shades, and it's probably because last year at the end of the year I decided I wanted to go through and get rid of a lot of my nail polishes I just wasn't using. So I'm going to guarantee you that some of the shades that might have compared ended up in the Goodwill pile or the get rid of pile, so it's okay. Anyway, the polish that I thought was the most similar to Mall Rat was Zoya Marisol, which I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm just going with it for now. They definitely are in the same color family, obviously. However, Mall Rat is a little bit lighter, like a few shades lighter than Marisol is. However, when I applied the second coat of Mall Rat, it actually looked more similar to the color of Marisol, just a little bit lighter. And that is simply because when you add the second coat of any color, it's going to intensify that color. Okay, so next up is Cowabunga, and to be honest with you, I did not think I had any polishes that compared to this because I just do not like this shade of color. So I don't really have a whole lot of polishes like this. Like I keep like maybe one or two in my collection. That's about it in case I need it for a nail art design. And the one that I had that was actually incredibly similar, but just maybe a shade off, is Orly New Horizons. Now, Orly New Horizons definitely has a golden honey tinge to it, where Cowabunga has that tangerine tinge, but they are incredibly similar, as you can tell. Okay, so next up is Be Kind Rewind, and I thought this was going to be really easy because it's like that deeper medium blue. The only one that I thought was similar was Hello Manology's Mid-Mod Blue. This is actually a stepping polish. They look similar in the bottle, but when I got them swatched side by side here, the Manology polish had a little bit more of like a tinge of teal to it than the Be Kind Rewinded. All right, next up is Shut Up Heather, and this one I knew was going to be easy for me to find a dupe for or something similar because this shade of color I feel like you see absolutely in almost every brand. So I went with Zoya Brinkley, and this one is incredibly similar. Like I'm gonna call this one a dupe. It's just maybe a hair brighter than the Orly one, but they're so similar that I'm gonna say that this is a dupe. All right, so next up is Stay Rad, and this one I also knew was going to be somewhat easier to find a dupe for because this color is also very popular with nail polish companies. So I thought Soraya from Zoya would be a really good match, and it was. Again, they might just be a tinge off shade-wise, but they are very, very similar. Now, this next one, I just wanted to see what it looked like on the swatch stick. This is Kiko from Zoya. This was not a dupe at all, but I was adding it because it looked similar in the bottle, but when I applied it to the false nail wheel here, I've had these for a very long time. I just haven't used them for a while. Kiko was not similar at all. All right, so next up is Most Definitely. And this one, again, I thought would be easy to find because you see a lot of these like coral shades. And the one that I had that was the most similar was Zoya Lani. This one, they are definitely very similar, but Lani is definitely more of like a watermelon pink. And I also did Desi from Zoya. They're very, very similar. They're just a couple of shades off from each other, but I say Lani is probably the closest dupe that I have in my collection to the Orly one. So I hope this video was helpful, and yeah, so that is it for today's video.